So my company is called DropLit, and basically we help you deliver device experiences. So if you have a connected app or a connected product, we can help you integrate that product with other existing devices on the market. So let's look at something for a moment. There's tons of crazy predictions about IoT. We love Cisco because they put out the most high arcing curves. They show, we're going to have 20 trillion devices. But the reality is there are going to be an unfathomable number of connected devices. So many that we can't even imagine what is going to be connected. I always joke about the smart marker, a marker that reorders itself when it runs out of ink. So the number of things that are connected is going to be massive, and the challenge in integrating those things is going to grow and grow and grow. So on top of that, we have this mess of standards. So this is an XKCD comic, and the joke is you've got a couple of engineers sitting around one day, and they say, look, there's 14 competing standards. That's ridiculous. We should develop a universal standard to end all other standards, and that'll solve the problem. And of course, in the next day, there's now 15 competing standards. So you can't win that battle, right? The standards war is just infinite. It's going to go forever and ever and ever. So the big ones right now, you've got Bluetooth, which everybody knows. Everybody cares about Bluetooth. Bluetooth is never going to become irrelevant in my mind. It's going to be extremely important. And Wi-Fi, they matter a lot. Then you've got these new guys coming in, Thread. Everybody's kind of heard of them. And AllJoin, which has been around for like a decade, but they're just now starting to get some reasonable relevance. So chasing the devices themselves, chasing the standards themselves is this infinite process. You'll never, ever, ever win that battle. You'll chase it forever if you're trying to integrate with other devices. If you want to launch a device right now, you take whatever your widget is, you add some kind of radio to it. You've got to solve provisioning. Somehow you've got to get it into the world, get it connected to something like a Wi-Fi access point or cell phone somewhere. You've got to connect it to a cloud so that you can remotely monitor it and control it and give it commands. And you've got to build apps across all these different devices, all these screens. And these things, these constantly change. Apple keeps releasing new OS updates, which constantly break your app. So that's just this endless run of engineering dollars. And it generally takes probably at least a year to get a product onto the shelf, right? That's a bare minimum. If you're really fast and you've got a pretty simple product. What we want to do is bring technology to you that starts somewhere in the stack after connecting the device, right? So there's other people doing a really good job of that. If you walk around this show, you'll probably find about 10 companies that have really good connectivity solutions. How do you get a thing connected to the cloud somewhere? We come into the stack higher than that, right? How do you provision it? How do you get it associated with users? How do you connect it? How do you control that device in that cloud? And how do you bring that device to more screens? How do you give your users access on obscure things like wearables, which that's a chase, by the way. There's going to be more and more wearables and more platforms that you have to constantly chase. In addition to that, we want to give you access to other devices that already exist, right? That's the biggest chase. Infinite protocols, infinite devices, it continuously grows and changes. So we want to bring you connectivity to, or interoperability with other platforms and other ecosystems as well. We bring to the table today the ability to live monitor and control your device, which that's kind of a baseline that we know everybody talks about, but we have to have it to integrate your device with other devices. We bring other advanced technologies like the ability to capture scenes, which is really cool. So say you've got a smart bulb or you've got a smart speaker, our platform can understand the combination of your device with other devices and be able to store the way that a user uses it and play it back across all those devices. We can also broadcast commands across multiple devices. So as you grow your device's presence into your customer's ecosystem, we can let you control your device and other devices or multiple of your device with single commands through your app, which is just a really nice power user feature to be able to have. It allows you to develop rich experiences. We want you to be able to interoperate with other devices, and we want you to be able to get to more screens. So whether that's integrating your device to our existing apps that are already out there, which we have on iOS, Android, Windows Phone, soon Windows 10. Hold on, I'll show you this thing, which I know you can't see from very far, but we've got a really rich app ecosystem. We've got really fine-grained control of the devices. We know exactly what state they're in. I won't demo it here on the stage because that'll be tedious, but come over to our booth that I'll demo it later. We're right over here. So we can use our app ecosystem either by launching your device directly through it, which is powerful. Apps on tablets, apps on phones, apps on wearables, apps on soon the TV set-top boxes, integration with Cortana, we have voice commands, and integration with Amazon Echo is coming soon as well. Those things are very expensive to chase, and it takes large development teams to be able to develop across all of those platforms and maintain those apps. So we can either integrate your device directly into our existing apps, or we can white label our apps and customize them to get you an experience on those platforms, and also an experience that understands all the other devices you might want to connect with as well. Today we're connected with Sonos speakers, the entire line, the entire Philips Hue line, the entire LifeX smart lighting line, a number of Z-Wave devices, a number of Wemo devices. Almost every Wemo device, we're adding their motion sensor. We've got their coffee pot, and we've got dimmer switches, light switches. These are all sort of the baseline devices, but most importantly, they're the most popular devices, especially Sonos. It's the number one smart device, especially that people barely talk about. We understand there's over 1 million of those in the world. It's a ridiculously successful product. As I mentioned, we've got apps on iOS, Android, Windows Phone, Kindle Fire, Apple Watch. We're building Android Wear. We're building Pebble. We're building Amazon Echo and Windows 10. Windows 10 and Android Wear will actually be out this quarter. The TVs are coming very soon as well. We expect that in at least Android TV and Amazon Fire TV in the first half of this year as well. So expanding out our reach to all those platforms. Imagine the power of being able to connect your device and have access from anything the user owns, from their wrist, from their voice command services. People seem to love their Echo. It's really, really popular. Forgive the biased nature of the expression, but everybody always asks me, tells me that they can't get their smart home to work unless it passes the wife test. And everybody uses the Echo as the go-to example that passes the wife test. And because wives can be discerning. They want something that works well, or they don't want to mess with it. They don't have as much patience to twiddle with us stuff as us crazy engineer mind people where we don't care if it breaks. We just want to mess with it and get it to work. So there's this notion of having something that's really polished and that's really easy to use. So we'd love to work with you to help you deliver those kinds of experiences. You have a question? Oh, you were telling me that. Today, this isn't important to you probably, but today we're already talking to industries in healthcare, consumer electronics, major utility companies, major telcos. So you kind of see the kinds of companies that want to deliver those experiences aren't limited to companies that are just creating a device in the world. They're companies that want to have a presence in the home. They want to be connected to the things that humans live with every day. So these are things that are important. They're important to almost every industry. Most of these conversations come inbound to us. We just kind of show up, and they go, hey, looks like you guys have the right moving parts. How can we deliver that kind of experience? So what questions do you guys have? What are your challenges? How can we be there to help you?
So where do you get the wives to help you test the wives test? So what's the biggest problem with your non-technical users base?
So we're running a beta program right now, and we're trying to get users all the way from the power users that have the hundreds of 100 or so devices in their smart homes, all the way to users that have only 2 or 3 devices in their homes, right? And in some cases, we might even install the smart devices ourselves just so they have it, because we want that user base. We want everyone from 16 to 70 to sit in front of this, and we want to see their challenges. So right now, we get that kind of feedback. We also don't our office isn't comprised entirely of engineers either, which is an important design decision. If you look at engineering services like IDEO, the leader in design, they employ people from from authors, writers all the way to graphics designers to engineers to artists. You have to have that wide range of talent as well to kind of give you that feedback, that thought process that's not the engineer way of doing things.
So my next question is, in a perfect world, we create the one protocol that works with all these devices. What would you see in that protocol, and what would be the attributes for it?
So that's a great question. There's a couple of big schools of thought on the future of protocols. If you look at Nordic Semiconductor, they're building Bluetooth that can connect directly to the internet. That's their theory, right? We want to do IP6 routing over a Bluetooth lightweight connection. If you look at what Cambridge Silicon Radio is doing, CSR, they're taking a completely different approach. They want every device to be able to talk to each other. So they've built this idea of a Bluetooth mesh, and they want to be able to take each device and have it peer and talk to each other. I think neither of these approaches are totally pure. The challenge is, for every device to talk directly to every other device, they also have to know about every other device. So is it a hive mind that's some collective of peered devices, or is there probably some cloud thing that's making all the decisions? I think it ends up being a hybrid. You have to have a protocol that can, A, handle the complex model of each device with a various set of functions that it has, B, provide interoperability so that it's not a unique thing every single time. If this is a smart bulb and that's a smart bulb, they should look somewhat similar enough that we might be able to discover and talk to it. And then C, be able to connect up to some greater a logic system like a machine learning system. So you need that connectivity to bridge out to the cloud as well. So a protocol that does all of that has to answer to those challenges, a protocol that's going to answer the future of these things. I think that's what Thread is trying to do, but we know it takes years for a protocol to evangelize and become successful as well.
Are there any more questions? Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about your engagement with telcos?
Can I talk about it?
Yeah, telco.
I can talk about the fact that it's happening. Our NDAs preclude me from talking about exactly what they want to do and who they are, specifically who they are. That's the weird thing there. But basically, the telcos want the partnership makes sense to them. For a company providing connectivity and communication to the home, the partnership makes sense to be able to deliver experiences inside the home that extend to lighting and music as well. That's the challenges that they're facing, and that's something that they see their user base being interested in, and it's in line with the product offering that they already have. So that's why it's really interesting to us, because we're a small startup. It doesn't make sense for us to make a direct-to-consumer move and try to spend the millions of dollars it takes to build a brand. It makes a lot more sense for us to ride our product on top of an existing successful brand where that product, that the features that delivers is well aligned with the existing service offering. Does that answer your question? As best as I'm allowed to.
Any other questions? Yes, one coming over here.
A little bit more on your business model. Are you trying to look for partnering with hardware people or system level people, or both? Or
So the way we generate revenue is through cloud. Right? We build. We actually have hub code that you can plug into a hub in the home and connect to some of these devices that only have local connectivity. We don't charge for that. That's just yours. We want vendors that want to launch their own hubs, which most of the time the hub is just embedded into some product that's already out there. It's not about making a new piece of hardware that customers have to buy. It's about adding functionality. But for us, it's about enabling our cloud technologies, so that's how we generate revenue. We charge for the usage of our connectivity platform, but we essentially enable you, the provider, to either sell your hardware or your connected experience. It's both. Like I was saying, the telcos, they don't necessarily have connected products that they want to sell. They want to be the core of that answer, right? And for their customer base, it makes a lot of sense to kind of just add a line item onto the bill. Because there's a famous saying, and I can't remember who said it, it's somebody really powerful in business. He said, there's two ways to make money, bundling and unbundling. Right? So it's all about getting your user more entangled into your service offering and giving them more reasons not to leave your service, right? More lock-in for your customers. So that's a great way to create value for businesses, for us, is to give them more reasons for their users to stay.
Okay, here we go. Let's get the.
How are you combating the security threats in the home with all these devices connecting and with your application or a hub?
So security question is a hard question that gets asked a lot. I won't detail the security architecture in this talk because that'd be crazy, but basically what's important to take home is our hub is a one-way device. It only can call out, and that's true for our cloud as well. So it only makes outbound requests, so you can't get in through that vector. We're doing all the right stuff that we're supposed to do in the cloud. I personally have a security background in myself, and we're launching in the next few months a security transparency page, which will actually detail the security architecture of our system. As far as I know, we're the only IoT platform offering that level of transparency that actually addresses how architecturally we're addressing security. So we think that's really important. Unfortunately, I can't detail enough of it in a short time to suffice the question because I love security and I think it's a big deal.
Any more questions? If not, I know our speaker will be here at his booth, which is right there. So please feel free to ask individual questions at this point. Thank you.
Yep, we're right over there. Thank you, everybody.